Marie, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Let me put my banner on. Um, how are you all? How are you all? So I've sort of recovered from my birthday weekend, but it's only Tuesday. I think it's going to take me till at least next weekend to recover from it. I've tried to put out all my thank yous today. I hope I've thanked everybody who was kind enough to either send me a message or buy me a coffee or whatever you did to help me celebrate my birthday. Thank you so much. What else do I want to say? So in this video, we're going to talk. Oh, let me just talk about the heat first. So do you know it's only 22 degrees this morning? So yesterday was, oh my God, honestly, in the evening, I literally thought again I was going to pass out. It's literally like living in an oven. It was 45 degrees in the end yesterday, registered 45 degrees at one point. And it was a very dry heat. So you really literally felt like you were living in an air fryer. Just that's the only way I can describe it. Like a hot hair dryer blowing at you all the time, because there was a little bit of wind, but it was literally like that. If you took a hair dryer, put it on hot and blew it in your face. That's what it felt like. And you'd open the door, open the window, and this whoosh of hot air would come in. It really was horrible. But I'm sure I've experienced similar things living in Spain before, but that was extraordinarily hot. Anyway, it's cooler today, but it's more humid now. So although the heat has dropped, because it's gone up to 22 degrees now, this time yesterday it was probably already on 35 or something. But it's much more humid, so it's not the same dry heat, but it's the humid heat. And that's what still makes you feel really hot. So, oh my God, I can't wait for August to be over. Anyway, what I want to talk about as well in this video, just very briefly at the start, is the wildfires in Spain. You know, they're getting even more out of control. I mean, and they're even going into areas where normally don't suffer from them too much. So there's been so many warnings. Thank you so much to the police, to the fire brigade, to the army that have been drafted in, people trying to get these fires. And you know, a lot of them have been caused deliberately. This is what I can't get over. Some have been caused deliberately, others have been caused by fireworks, because the summertime is big fiesta season. You know, lots of towns and cities in Spain have their, every year, even little villages, every year they have their fiestas patronales, which is like their, you know, their local fiestas. And summertime, a lot of them are in the summertime. So there's a lot of fireworks, there's a lot of bonfires, there's a lot of barbecues. So although, you know, many of the wildfires maybe not started deliberately, but they're man-made, they were started by people. You know, a bonfire that goes wrong, a barbecue that goes wrong, a cigarette dimp that's thrown away, rockets, as in firework rockets, you know, so a lot of them have been caused by that. So we're going to just have a little look at some of the scenes of that, because it is amazing that, you know, because a lot of the people that are helping to fight these fires as well, they're volunteers. And I think 2 volunteers have died. Because they're so unpredictable, the fires, the winds, because it's been so windy. It's not been that windy here, only a little bit windy where I am, but in a lot of the places up in the north where they have these fires the most, sort of middle of Spain, north of Spain, it's been very windy, so the fires are so unpredictable because they keep changing direction. So this is how people get caught out. You know, 1 minute the fighting the fire from one direction, then the wind changes, and then the fire's coming towards them. So, yeah, very sad and very dramatic scenes in Spain. And then, of course, we're going to be talking about little baby Emmanuel. You know, I don't think any of us get a good feeling about this case. This baby, in my opinion, is deceased at the hands probably of his father, because it turns out his father has already got history in child abuse. And also we're going to look at the mother's family. I think it's her brother or her cousin. They've been charged with murder as well. You know, this is just like not a good. You know, I feel sorry for all the kids. They have 6 kids, or he has 6 kids in total. They're not all hers. We're going to have a little bit of a look at the family dynamics. And now, of course, there was a bombshell that blood had been found at the parents' house. Now, we do have to be careful with that, because if you've got children, you'll know, especially when they're little and they're always bang. I mean, he's only a baby, but you know, they don't know that the blood that they found at the parents' house is Emmanuel's yet. I don't think, anyway. You know, children are always falling over, aren't they, and hurting themselves. Maybe they have a nosebleed or whatever. So we don't know the details, so we've got to be careful of that. But, of course, now this family have lawyered up because people aren't believing their story. There's no way that black eye on that woman was only done the day before. We're going to look at what some people have been saying about all that. So, you know, is she defending the father? You know, you hope that she hasn't done anything. It looks like he's the aggressive one, but you know what? You never know, do you? But yeah, my hopes are fading for me for this little one. Just looking forward to the police finding him one way or another, and whoever has been responsible for his disappearance gets their comeuppance. So that's what we're going to be looking at in the main part of the video. So first of all, thank you to everyone. Thanks for all my birthday wishes, but also just thank you to people who watch my channel or are subscribed, like, share, etc. Special thank you to members. And this Thursday in the members live, I'll be showing you some videos about my birthday, etc. That'll be entertaining. You see me actually dancing. And special thank you to those who've bought me a Ko-fi. Those who've bought merchandise from my shop, don't forget my shop is on the Ko-fi link. All the things that are on there, and it does always need updating, but remember, all the prices include postage and packing. That is the complete price. I try to keep the prices as low as possible. You know, I pay the postage and packaging, so I just want people to have the merch. It's not something that I'm interested in making a profit out of. I don't make a profit out of it. Most of the time I make a loss. But, you know, I want people to have the merch if they want it. What else have I got to say? Yeah, so I think that's it for thank yous. Let's just take that away. So, hi, lovely lurkers. Thank you for watching. Hi, loathsome lurkers. And now I'm going to come into the chat and say hello to the rest of you that are brave enough to venture into the chat. Hi, Westside Skits. Hi, my birthday was lovely. Thank you. Hi, Lily. Hi, Bluebell. All getting back to normal now, Bluebell, back in the routine. Oh, do you have power cuts? We don't normally get power cuts because of the heat. We normally get power cuts. I just put that up. So, I need to put the comments on stage. We normally get power cuts when there's storms. That's when we tend to have power cuts. It's rare for us to get power cuts because of the sun, which is good. Yeah, deliberate fires. I mean, I you know, some people Honestly, you lose faith in human nature sometimes because you just think, what's wrong with people? But yeah, well, they've banned barbecues now. Barbecues are banned. I don't think they've banned the fiestas, and I think, they hope that people will have common sense, but of course you can't rely on people to have common sense, can you? Unfortunately. But they've cancelled or they've advised people, obviously not to light fireworks and things. But the thing is, the fiestas, the local fiestas here in Spain, they're such an I cannot tell you enough how important they are to people. Why can't I get that off now? I don't believe. Um, they're so important to people. For a lot of people, they never go out all year, and the only time they have a drink is when it's the local fiestas. So it's like mega important. In COVID and everything, it was a nightmare for the Spanish people not to have it because these things are so important to them. So they haven't banned the fiestas. I think they should ban the fiestas, to be honest. Well, because people are letting off fireworks willy-nilly. I mean, it reminds me of years ago, like when I was a kid and there was no, those rip raps. I don't know if you remember them. They used to chase you around the garden. A lot of things got banned in the UK, didn't they? Because they weren't safe. Everything's allowed here. You know what I mean? So, it's dangerous as well. These fireworks go out of people's control. They've also advised people against doing the Camino de Santiago, which is the famous walk, of course. A lot of people will have done some, if not all, of the Camino de Santiago. It's like a pilgrimage walk around the north of Spain. I've done a tiny little bit of it a couple of years ago. And I mean the time, because I had my dogs with me. And anyway, I have done the time. At least I can say that I've done a little bit of it. Sorry, I just got to drink so much water. So they're telling people not to do it because some of the wildfires, some of the regions, when people do the Camino, the walk, that is, on a big scale, they're right out in the campo, in the mountains, so these wildfires are affecting that as well. And of course, the summertime's a popular time for people to do it. That's when people have got their holidays and that. So, yeah, it's really affecting everything. But for me, they should ban fireworks at this time of year, I think. Hi, Dan. Where am I? Can't remember who I said hello to now. I think. Hi, Lily. Hi, Daniel. Hi, Angel. Oh, hang on. That was my phone's beeping at me. So, yeah, for me, they should ban the fireworks. That's all right. Nothing important. Oh. Do you ever do that? You touch your phone and a video comes on and you think, I didn't even press into that video. So where am I? So let's have a look at these wildfires. Some very dramatic pictures coming out of here. Just get onto it. So I follow this like a Facebook group that talks about like traffic things, all sorts of things all over. It's called Spanish Traffic Law, and it talks about all things. So let's have a look at that actually, where it says I've got to share it. So this is the post where it's saying the Civil Protection of Castilla and Leon is asking pilgrims not to continue the Camino de Santiago due to the wildfires. I mean, look at this. That's right up to the road, isn't it? And the fact, God, And so they also issued a warning for pilgrims walking the route between Astorga and Villafranca del Bierzo in Leon, one of the most beautiful stretches of the Camino, covering 75 kilometres across 3 stages. So what you do with the Camino, obviously you can't do it all in one day. It takes ages, in fact, but you do stages and you get like a stamp on a thing, to show that you've done. So say you could do 3 stages this year and then you couldn't do any more because of work or whatever till next year. You come back and you've got the bits that you've already done and you can progress through it. So yeah, just because of the intensity of these fires, let's see, there's more. Thank you, firefighters. But there's somewhere there's some videos of the fires themselves. Oh, I'll find them. Oh, I think they're up this way. There, look at this. I mean, you can see how windy it is. You can see how it's blowing the fire back towards them. They almost can't stand up, these people. Trying to, God, they're really, really risking their lives, I think. Well, as I say, a couple of them have died. Fire is terrifying. It's sort of beautiful, but terrifying, isn't it? And so something like that be caused by some idiot maybe throwing their cigarette down or having a barbecue, or, do you know what I mean? Causing all that. Now there's another one that I wanted to show you somewhere, because there's what, yeah, this. So this one. No, not that one. There's that many of them. This is the one, I think. Yeah, so they showed this because this is showing, like, the fires. There's this one person here fighting this fire, and then, in another part of Spain, there's fireworks going off because it'll be the fiesta. So, that's what they're saying, is stop the fireworks, because one of those fireworks could lead to, this. And that looks like it's right next to a road, doesn't it? I know a lot of houses have been evacuated in places you wouldn't expect. And in my little village, our fiestas are in September. And they love their fireworks. You know what? It'll be bang. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, it'll be bang, 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 the bangers going off. Then there is like a firework display always at the end of the fiestas, which is like more these kind of fireworks. And they're beautiful to watch, but, they terrify the dogs. They're so noisy and they're dangerous, because if it's still dry by then, they could start a fire anywhere, couldn't they? Let's just watch this one. They've got to cotton on to this, I think, in Spain. It's like, well, I think everywhere, as far as fireworks are concerned, it's about time they had fireworks without noise, because animals are traumatized. And not only animals, a lot of people get traumatized by fireworks, especially autistic people, because the noise, it's just traumatic, isn't it? And you could still have the fireworks without the noise and still look as nice. Why has it got to be so noisy? So yeah, look at this here. You've got the fire there, and then just over the way, you've got people letting off fireworks. I mean, are they thick or what? Good God. Anyway, so that's Spain at the moment, and as I say, they're spreading. They're not normally near me, But they have moved nearer to me. Hope not that near, so I don't want you frightened that. But I tell you what, you would never know, because they've moved definitely to places not that far from me, and where there never normally are problems. So, again, maybe caused by fireworks. Thing is, everything's so dry at the moment, and that weather that we've just had. This weather that we've got today is more normal for Spain, or that maybe a high temperature, but not that high. It's unusual for it to go more than 30 degrees, but it's very humid normally. But that weather we had over the weekend up to yesterday, that was like 40 odd. That's more like desert heat, because it's 40 odd degrees, but no humidity. And I think that's worse for fires, because there's no damp in the air even or anything. It's just like a tinderbox. Very dramatic, very scary, and as I say, just thank God for those emergency services that help and protect everybody, and a lot of them are complete volunteers. Putting their life in danger to save other people. Okay, so let's have a look at this horrible case. Let's just have a little recap of what's happened in this case of baby Emmanuel. Now, for anybody who's coming to this case new, what happened was this poor little boy, 7 months old. He's Emmanuel. That's his mum there. Let me just find her name. I've forgotten her name, but having said that, I know her name is important, I suppose. So she's Rebecca Harrow. Now, on the 14th of August, around 7 p.m. in the evening, she phoned the police and said that someone that she was where was it she was at? Let me just check that out again. Yeah, she was at a Big Five sporting goods store in Yucaipa, California, and she was changing his nappy. This is what she said happened. She was changing his nappy. She got everything ready to change his nappy in the back of the car, in the boot of the car, and somebody said, "Hola." And as she went to turn around, she was struck in the face. And that's where she says she got this black eye from. And this was a day after it happened. Now, that clearly was not a black eye that was given the night before. So she's saying around 7 p.m. the night before this picture was taken, she was punched in the face and got this black eye. Don't believe that for a minute, to be honest. That is the remnants of a black eye, but it is not a fresh black eye. In fact, I know who gave myself a black eye when I during COVID, when I tripped up and banged my head on the side of the bath. And that it took a couple of days before it came out like that. It was a big black eye. I banged my head on the side of the bath, and I banged my eye socket, and yeah, it was a couple of days before it came out. I've probably got the picture somewhere. Let's have a look. So maybe I've still got the picture. Because it was literally, COVID had just started, the lockdown had just started, so I didn't even go to the doctors or to the hospital or whatever, because everywhere was bloody chaos. So I just didn't do anything. I just sort of waited for it to go. Is that it? Yeah, and this picture, I think it was, let me show it you if I put it. I think it's very similar to her thing there. It may have even been a week later. It certainly wasn't the very next day because it took a few days for it to come out. Yeah, similar, isn't it? Just like the black under there. But that was not the day after. Took days for it to come out. Banged my eye socket. Gave myself a cataract. Anyway, I didn't go to the hospital or anything because, I say, it was literally the first day of lockdown. Lockdown started on the Friday and this was on the Saturday. Or not this photo. When was this photo? Hasn't got a date on it. But yeah, very similar, I think, to her. Yeah, it's the remnants of a black eye. That is not, you can't even see a black eyes initially come up swollen, don't they? You get the swelling, and then as the swelling goes down. Anyway, I'm going to show a photo of progression of black eyes in a moment. Yeah, maybe it affects different people different ways. Well, let's have a look at this. Let me take that down now. So there's a guy on Twitter that I follow, Steve Fisher, is a private investigator. And we're going to have a look what he had to say about it. So basically what she says, sorry, let me go back to the story of what she says happened. That this man said, hola, and she went to turn around, he smacked her in the face and she went unconscious. And when she woke up, the baby had gone, he'd gone, she didn't see the vehicle. That's why they couldn't do an Amber Alert, because she says she didn't see anything. She just heard this man say hola. She thinks, well, obviously if he said hola, he'd be Hispanic, or maybe just because he thought she was Hispanic, I don't know. Yeah, so that's her story, and that was it. They took this baby. Now, with the best will in the world, I think it's very unusual for someone to snatch a baby, but I wouldn't say that it never happens, of course. But anyway, to be honest, I'm sorry, allegedly and all that, but I am 100% convinced this woman knows exactly what happened to her little boy. Because now that people are asking questions and there's been discrepancies in her story, etc., and it comes out that her husband's got a history of abusing children, etc., now they've lawyered up and they're not cooperating anymore with the police. And to me, that's just, you couldn't get a bigger red flag than that. How can you say you're not cooperating with the police when it's your child? And even if you're worried that they might think it was you, but you wouldn't be worried, would you? You'd think, let them investigate me and then get on with finding the real person. That's the way I look at it. So I think they're lying. I do. And I just hope sooner or later, they do, whoever has done whatever to this poor baby, they get their comeuppance, get justice. So this is what Steve Fisher says. Even if Emmanuel Harrow's mother is wearing makeup, the bruising appears to be breaking up and dissipating more like you would expect to see in the 5+ day range post-injury. And that's it, actually, Bluebell. It is dissipating that. Maybe it comes up, look, this is what they're showing here. So within the colour stages of a bruise, within 24 hours of an injury, that's almost like a pinky red colour, isn't it? And then after 1 to 2 days, you can have a black eye. But look how, see, hers is going. That's not a black eye. That's a black eye that's dissipating, not a black eye that's just around. I'd say, as he says, looks more like the 5 to 10 day one, where it's still there, but it's starting to go, but it's not in its full glory, if you like. Did you take a photo, Bluebell? If you did, send me the photo so I can have a look. And then after 10 to 14 days, it goes more that yellowy type colour, doesn't it? Goes from the blacky grey to the yellowy. And I remember that with mine. Anyway, then he goes on to say this is Steve. He's a private investigator. I follow him on Twitter. I have a lot of respect for him. He's not a YouTuber. He doesn't do YouTube. He just comes on here and he looks for missing people. He's very astute. He's found lots of missing people. I respect him a lot. Hi, Lily. I can't remember if I said to you hello to you earlier. So he's posted the charges. So I don't know how well you can see this on yours, but yeah, these are some of the charges involving missing baby Emmanuel Harrow's father, Jake Harrow. He was convicted in 2020 and 23 of willful child cruelty and is currently awaiting trial on charges of felon in possession of a firearm. Stemming from a June 2024 arrest. So he remains on probation from the 2023 conviction, which means that law enforcement does not need a warrant to search his property or his belongings, and as a condition to his probation is subject to search at any time. So that's interesting because they've been in there and searched, and reportedly they found blood. I don't think we've had a press conference from the actual police though, having said that. So yeah, he has history, doesn't he? And he posted bail for $10,000 apparently for this particular one, which is arrest agency. Yeah. And they're felonies, which are serious, aren't they? So yeah. Yes, he's got history. Now, that doesn't mean say he's done anything this time, of course. I'm not saying he has. I'm just presenting to you the facts, which is that this father of Emmanuel has a history of willful child cruelty and also possession of a firearm, which he probably wasn't supposed to have, was he? Because if he was on probation or whatever. Yeah, so it's interesting to know that the police wouldn't have needed a search warrant to search his address because he is on parole or probation, as they call it. So that's interesting. And then another interesting thing that he put on there, well, he says, make sure you feed him and change him. That she said, didn't she, in her interview, which means something more like you'd say to your husband, or whatever, because with the best, even good dads, they do forget, don't they, sometimes, to feed their kids and change their, you sort of get in and it's just like, oh, I think he needs his nappy changing, pass it on to you. But yeah, it was a funny thing to say, wasn't it? Make sure you feed him and change him to a kidnapper. It just don't hurt him, don't kill him. They've had no kidnapping, what's the word? They've had no ransom note. Do you know what I mean? So now another interesting thing that Steve put on his Twitter account or X account is that Rebecca Harrow, the mother of missing 7-month-old Emmanuel, has a brother that is also bad at manufacturing stories after killing someone. James Boozhausen was convicted of first-degree murder in 2018. He tried to stage the murder of his girlfriend as a suicide. So this is her brother, although some people have said it's her cousin. I don't know. It's a relative of hers anyway. So a man convicted of shooting his girlfriend in the head at their Palm Springs apartment and staging the scene to look like she took her own life was sentenced on Monday to 50 years in prison. James Booth, well, this wasn't this Monday just gone. This was, I think, round about 2018. Oh, here we go. James Booth was convicted in July of first-degree murder on March the 15th of 2017. The death of Jaylin Amanda Keith, 27. Jaylin was found with a single gunshot wound to the centre of her forehead in the bathtub of the Bellardo Road apartment the couple shared out. So yeah, her brother. So, you know, this kid, I feel like this kid never had a chance. You know, you just think, like, listen, you know, in families, you have one person who's a murderer and you think, oh, well, you know, that's terrible, isn't it? But things can happen, or I don't know, whatever. Then when you've got two, I mean, we don't know that. I'm not saying she is a murderer because we don't know anything yet. Probably if something has happened to that baby and she knows about it, more likely probably to be the father than her, but, you know, we don't know. But, you know, when these sort of themes run through families, murderers, you know, like that horrible guy that killed that family with a crossbow, his brother was already in prison for murder, wasn't he? You know, there's got to be some family pattern, you know, like, so this is just like a family from hell, isn't it? When you've got a murderer and then someone whose baby disappears as well. How's your luck? You know, it's like, anyone can have things happen in their family, but when it's one thing after another, and serious things. You know, it's not like he was, you know, arrested for shoplifting or whatever. So he's tried to stage, and he has, because he's been found guilty of it. He's tried to stage the self-deletion of his wife or his girlfriend. And anyway, luckily they saw through it. Do you know, I think that's a very common thing. I bet there's loads of people out there that didn't self-delete themselves, but somebody made it look as if they did. It's very hard to prove. Well, murder is always hard to prove, because it's what we've talked about before. Murder, RAPE, all those crimes between two people, you've normally just got a victim and a perpetrator. So it's the perpetrator's word against the victims. And if the victims gone from this world can't speak up for themselves, you know, it's very difficult to prove murder. It's very difficult to prove RAPE or any crime that is just between two people like that. You don't have CCTV of a murder normally, do you? Or of a self-deletion. So all you have is a load of circumstantial evidence. And if you're lucky enough, you've got digital evidence, DNA evidence, maybe, that these are the sort of things that confirm them. But you haven't, you know, when this brother killed his wife and tried to make it look as if it was self-deletion, we can't hear her side of the story, can we? You know, we never get to hear the victim's side of the story if they're dead. Another case that made me think of was the Richard Allen case in the Delphi murders. You know, if we wouldn't have had that video from Libby, you know, that we would have been really struggling. You know, a lot of people still don't believe that he's guilty, but, you know, in my opinion, he's 100% guilty. But, you know, if we didn't have that video from Libby, we would have nothing to even show that he was on the bridge or anything. So it'd be very difficult to prove that case, wouldn't it? So, hi, Joanne. Hi, West Side. Oh, I think I've already said hello to West Side. Okay, I'll have a look now. Hi, Angie. Yep, yeah. Personally, I think this couple are guilty. And you know, I don't. And I'll tell you, Steve Fisher. I'm reading these. He doesn't weigh in on accusing people, uh, willy nilly. For him to be, really quite sort of condemning of the parents. That's he normally, he doesn't just say people are guilty willy nilly, like everyone's guilty. And funnily enough, we always seem to think the same way about cases. It's like with Sebastian Rogers, obviously his parents, his mum and stepdad, they get a lot of bad press, don't they, and everything. But to me, there's no evidence to prove they're guilty. No blood's been found in their home. I mean, how you can't presume that they're guilty when there's no evidence to say so. And if the same with Summer Wells, really, and Don and Candace. I mean, they may be guilty. I'm not saying they're not. I just don't know. There's no evidence to say that they are. Whereas with this couple, you feel like the police, if they found, we see what happens if the police end up doing a press conference or not, or if we get any more, information. Right, let me just have a look. I just want to look at Bluebell's email she sent me. Yeah, 2 days there, Bluebell, you're saying. Oh, it looked really painful, bless. It does hurt when you get a black eye, that's for sure. Um, yeah, so I think what I'd have to do, I mean, obviously, I'd have to do it in a way where people couldn't see your face at all, but I could put it next to, what can I do with it? I'll do it for the next time because it'll probably take me. I will. I'll just cut the eye bit out and put it next. I think what I'll do is I'll end up doing like a photo, if you like, and put the three together. My black eye that I had, and I'll try and work out when I took that photo, yours and Rebecca's. Put them all together and see what we think. Well, probably, yeah, people probably do bruise differently. But I still feel that Rebecca's, I'll only show your eye, Bluebell, don't worry. You don't look horrible at all. But nobody looks that nice with a black eye, do they? Let's have a look at her again. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe a doctor would tell that, but just looks to me that's more a remnant. But then would it have gone yellow by then? But I'm going to put them all together and we can compare them properly. I haven't got time to do it now. I've got some classes soon, so can't stay on too long. But let's just have a look, see what else I can. So apparently, according to good old JLR, there's like a media encampment outside their house. Let's see if I can find any more. So even that now the police are saying that there's inconsistencies. And once the police start saying publicly that there's inconsistencies in a story, for the police say that publicly, that doesn't look good, does it, for the family? Let's have a look. So a mum says her baby was kidnapped and her story has inconsistencies, the police say. Let's have a look. I'll stop thinking about it.
Here's a picture of the infant. His mother says his name is Emmanuel. He was last.
Go back to the beginning. So this is Fox.
7-month-old baby who's missing out of Ukaipa. The child's family saying he was kidnapped. Here's a picture of the infant. His mother says his name is Emmanuel. He was last seen wearing a black Nike onesie. Deputies responded to a report of a missing child at a strip mall on Ukaipa Boulevard and 6th Street last night. His mother says she was assaulted and had her baby taken.
Woke up with this on my face. I didn't see anything. Like you said, I woke up on the floor and my son was gone. If you hear anything, please come forward. I'm begging you. Please don't harm my son. Just feed him, please. Please protect him and bring him forward. I'm begging you.
San Bernardino Sheriff's Department Specialized Investigations Division is leading the search to find the baby. Scent tracking dogs were brought in to assist in the search. Infant has not been found. Anyone with information on the missing baby is asked to call 911.
Now then, I do feel.
Now the search is on for a 7-month-old baby.
Sorry, I do feel that maybe that black eye wasn't that low. You know, let's suppose, let's play the devil's advocate for a moment. Let's suppose that it wasn't somebody who kidnapped the baby, that it was her husband who did that black eye. Not necessarily that long ago. Do you know what I mean? It could have been that same day, or it could have been the day before even. I think the baby had not been seen for a few days, had it? So, you know, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that the husband did it and then she's trying to pass it off as if the kidnappers did it.
Who's missing out of Ukaipa, the child's family saying he was kidnapped. Here's a picture of the infant. His mother says his name is Emmanuel. He was last seen wearing a black Nike onesie. Deputies responded to a report of a missing child at a strip mall on Ukaipa Boulevard and 6th Street last night. His mother says she was assaulted and had her baby taken.
Woke up with this on my face. I didn't see anything. Like you said, I woke up on the floor and my son was gone. If you hear anything, please come forward. I'm begging you. Please don't harm my son. Just feed him, please. Please protect him and bring him forward. I'm begging you.
San Bernardino Sheriff's Department Specialized Investigations Division is leading the search to find the baby. Scent tracking dogs were brought in to assist in the search. Infant has not been found. Anyone with information on the missing baby is asked to call 911.
Now then, they're searching, the police are searching, you know, locally, obviously, around the house area, because, you know, if this is a false kidnapping and some harm has come to that baby from his own parents, normally people don't take the bodies far away, do they? Having said that, it is a baby and babies are easy to transport. You know, sorry, it's just the truth, isn't it? You know, a baby would not, it's not like getting a body into the back of a, you know, big adult body into the back of a car and taking it somewhere without being seen. A baby is much easier to conceal. Now, having said that, I expect the police are checking all the digital evidence, like, you know, where did they go in the car, etc., and checking out those areas. I do feel that Emmanuel will be found one way or another. I do unfortunately feel that he's probably deceased, and I'd love to be made wrong. I would love, you know, him to be found safe with kidnappers. But I just don't think that's going to happen, sadly. I just can't see it. But anyway, it's possible. We have to keep hope, I suppose, from him, for him. Hi, Pam. But I'm going to just play the Pinocchio because I do think this mother is lying one way or another. Anyway, let's have a look at some more videos. Let's have a look at this ABC one. Yeah, because the press, mainstream media, social media, everyone now is all over this case. All over this case. So I think the baby has obviously got some issues.
Missing 7-month-old baby that has garnered national attention. An organization announcing they are pulling their search teams and reward offer for information leading to the missing baby. This as investigators cast doubt on the mother's story. Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez is live in Yucaipa with this major twist in this case. Leticia.
Well, as you can imagine, there's still a lot more questions than answers at this point, and that comes especially after the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department tell us that the parents of Emmanuel Haro stopped cooperating with their investigation. That lack of cooperation also ended.
Thing is, as soon as people stop cooperating, there's that's a big red flag, isn't it? I don't think you could get a bigger red flag than that. Let me put my red flags up. I don't think you could get a bigger red flag than parents stopping cooperating. How could you as a parent ever stop cooperating? You just couldn't. You want to find your child, you're never going to stop cooperating.
Did the search efforts by the Uvalde Kids Foundation, which had offered a $5,000 reward, saying that those inconsistencies and the fact that the parents are no longer cooperating has them questioning what is going on in this case. In the meantime, the Sheriff's Department tells us they are continuing to search for that 7-month-old baby. It's been 4 days since 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro was reported missing by his mother. Over the weekend, detectives searched his family's Cabazon home with canine units. This morning, that house was quiet, deserted. But outside, cars slowed down. Neighbors stopped by, hoping for answers.
It broke my heart. So I have my little baby, and I love her so much, and I can't even imagine losing my child or anything happening to them.
It's just shocking. I want that baby found.
It all started Thursday evening when Emmanuel's mother, Rebecca Haro, said she was attacked while changing her son's diaper in a Big 5 parking lot in Yucaipa.
I got him out of the car seat and I laid him down so I could get his diapers ready. And somebody said, "Hola," and that's all I remember.
But on Saturday, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department said the story Haro told detectives had inconsistencies. And when confronted about it, she ended the interview. They also said,
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So for the police to come out publicly and say her story had inconsistencies, and you can see when they've then challenged her about the inconsistencies, she's ended the interview. This woman knows exactly where her baby is. I'm sorry, but she does, in my opinion.
They can't rule out foul play in the disappearance of Emmanuel. A day earlier, she made this emotional plea to Eyewitness News.
Just give him back to me again, please. Don't harm my son.
Since then, there's been silence from Rebecca and her husband, Jacob, who, according to Riverside County records, pled guilty to willful cruelty to a child following a 28.
Yeah, it's not a good sign, is it, when he's already been found guilty of willful cruelty to a child? This poor baby, you just think something bad has happened to this baby. I don't know if you noticed as well, I know he's only a baby, but he's rarely sitting up, is he, on any of his pictures? He's lying down. Did he have problems sitting up? Because babies normally can sit up as long as you're sort of supporting them. But all his pictures, he's lying down, or, I don't know, he's just makes you wonder what was going on, what the dynamic was there. Oh, thank you, Ange, for saying you're member up in September. It'd be good to see you on members.
18 arrest. On Sunday night, the community gathered in the parking lot of Big 5 for a candlelight vigil to pray for Emmanuel's safe return and for answers.
They'll find out, and it'll be soon, I'm sure, and everybody will have their answer, and we're hoping that it's not what we all assume, but we have to wait.
Now, the couple has retained their own attorneys. I spoke with Jake Harrow's attorney earlier today, and he tells me that his client does intend to make a statement. He does want to clear the air about his 2018 conviction for child abuse. Reporting live in Yucaipa, Leticia Juarez, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Now, the thing is, so they've lawyered up now. So it'd be interesting to see, is he going to come out with a statement? You know, is that what he's going to do? He's going to come out with a statement, like, you know, to address the child cruelty. How's he going to explain that out? You know, what's he going to say? You know, how child cruelty, I mean, that's worse than child neglect, isn't it? There's a, you know, it's different from neglecting a child. Child cruelty is a deliberate act, whereas neglect might be a little bit more, you know, I'm not saying it's a good thing, obviously, neglect, but it's different from cruelty, which is a deliberate act of cruelty. Neglect, sometimes people do things without thinking or blah, 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 blah. But do you see what I'm saying? So it doesn't look good that he's been actually convicted for child cruelty. Yeah, you know what? Exactly. And Claire, you're right. And you know what? He might have punched the mum and she might have dropped the baby. You know? Yeah. You know, yeah, and the firearm charges, and yeah, exactly. If she was holding the baby and he, you know, they got in an argument and he punched the mum, the baby could have, she could have dropped the baby, you know, on its head. Gosh, you know, there's a lot of things that could have happened. Or he could have got frustrated with the baby. You know, strikes me as a man who's got, what's the word? A short temper, a short fuse, as I say, he's on firearms charges. Got, you know, as you say, Claire, this family's not, I think it was Claire who said it, or no, Angie. This is not the Waltons family. You know, there's issues. And then, of course, her brother murdering his wife and trying to cover it up and pretend it was self-deletion. If you've come into the chat later, you might not have seen that. You know, her brother is in prison for 50 years for murdering his wife and trying to cover it up and say it was a self-deletion. So, you know, they're not, as I say, not the Waltons by any means. Now, that about the cameras, about the security cameras, that just struck me straight away with that interview we watched yesterday. And she said, oh, and there's no lights and no security cameras or anything. How would you even know? How would you know? You know, if I go off to the shops later, I don't look to see if there's security. It doesn't even occur to you, does it? Really? I mean, yeah, maybe afterwards, maybe that's when she's looked into it. But, you know, doesn't it? I don't think, oh, I don't look, oh, where's the security cameras? Or, you know, why would you? But anyway, I think it all smells fishy. It's all fishy to me. I think there's a lot of lying going on there. Now, maybe the police will come out later on when America comes back to life again. Of course, America's asleep at the moment. There might be a press conference, or they might even find poor little Emmanuel. You know, now it's the way. I think they'll find him, because I don't think these are not. Mind you could say that about a lot of children that go missing. I don't think these parents are geniuses. Do you know what I mean? So, but having said that, you know, a baby's body is a lot easier to hide than a grown adult's body, isn't it? A lot easier to conceal. You could walk down the street, you know, with a rucksack or something, and not be noticed. With a baby, we know that from the McCann case, don't we? You know, that's what a lot of, I'm not saying that's what the McCanns did. Everything's allegedly, but that's what a lot of people say they did, because when you've got a tiny child, they're easy to hide, unfortunately. But yeah, exactly, Claire. He's got a conviction for child cruelty. Why was he even allowed around any children? Now, it may turn out that he wasn't supposed to be around children, because there's a difference between what the court orders and then what people actually do in real life. Do you know what I mean? It's, definitely doesn't mean to say that he wasn't ordered to not be around children, but maybe he just defied that, so. Okay, God, that frightened me to death then. That's my phone beeping at me, telling me I've got a class very soon. So I have to go, but I'll be back at some point. Not sure. And if there's any news whatsoever on this, I've got some other news that I want to tell you about other cases. I'm just catching up after having a weekend off. But listen, I'll see you really soon in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. And until I see you again, well, prayers for baby Emmanuel, first of all, whatever's happened to him, either if he's sleeping in the arms of angels or if somebody has kidnapped him, hope they're looking after him. But personally, I doubt that very much. But, as I say, I might be wrong. I've been wrong before. Not very often, but I have been. A little candle for Emmanuel. That baby just deserves so much better, didn't he? Like all children do. So I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.